Ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya 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 la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la la, ya la la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la. Ya la la la, ya la la la, ya la la la, ya la la la, ya la la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la. Ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la la la, ya la la la, ya la la la, ya la la la. Shabbat Shalom. Great to be together. It's great for me to be together with Rabbi Stein. We've been working, of course, together for the last almost 2 months, but we haven't spent time on the Bima together. So I'm really happy to have a first. And it's great to see so many people who some of whom I've been seeing all summer long, some of whom maybe are coming back from being away. It's wonderful always to come together, but as the congregation begins to come together after the summer, it's great to gather and be together. You may have received an email today from the temple regarding changes in our masking policy. So we thank you for your patience with the temple, like every institution, as we navigate these changing needs and conditions and find a balance. So we are, at the moment, we are masking for worship services through Yom Kippur, and other than worship services in the building, masks are optional. So thank you, of course, for cooperating with that as well. I hope that no matter what this week has brought you, that gathering here this evening for Shabbat brings you strength, brings you comfort, brings you connection with community. We also wish a huge mazel tov to the young future tomorrow morning's Benot Mitzvah, Layla and Jaden, and we wish them a great mazel tov and to their families, and hope that it's a wonderful weekend of celebration.
Absolutely. And so in a moment, we are going to be starting off with Ahat Sha'alti, which is a psalm sung every day by some people during Elul. It's part of a song. In a moment, we'll be joining on page in the blue numbers 662. Earlier this week, before we knew that it was going to be 90 degrees right now, we were hoping to be in the tent outside. And you may have noticed our prayer books have 2 sets of numbers, one in black, one in blue. That's because there are thicker softback versions with different numbers. So the numbers in your program, the page numbers, reflect the page numbers if we were out in the tent in the soft-backed versions. However, they're also in blue in our prayer books. So page 662, or in the black letters, page 358. This is a psalm that asks for closeness to God. If God isn't an idea you connect to, closeness to our higher values as we move into the month of Elul tonight and tomorrow, into the month preceding the high holidays.
Thank you for catching those page numbers. This melody brings us into the reflective space of High Holy Days. And the words are, as Rabbi Stein said at the top of page 358 or 662, let's begin with Nigun as we began the service so that we can get a feel for this melody. And then we will try to put the melody to the Hebrew words. Yai lai 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 yai lai lai la la lai 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 yai lai 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 yai lai lai la la lai 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 yai lai yai lai 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 yai lai 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 yai lai 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 ya la lai 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 yai lai 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 ya lai 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 la la lai 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 achat sha'alti me'et Adonai ota avakesh achat sha'alti me'et Adonai ota avakesh shivti bevet Adonai kol yemei chayai לחזות בנועם ונועם אדוני ולבקר בהיכלו לחזות בנועם ונועם אדוני ולבקר להיכלו. Now we move to the candle lighting as we bring in Shabbat. The candle blessings we can find on page 120 of your prayer book. Excuse me, they are actually 120 and
3.
And page 3. And I want to invite the mothers of our Benot Mitzvah, Harpreet Peleg and Melissa Rossman, forward to light the candles for us.
Okay, thank you. As these Shabbat candles give light to all who behold them, so may we, by our lives, give light to all those who behold us. As their brightness reminds us of the generations of Israel who have kindled light, so may we in our own day be among those who kindle light.
O source of light and truth, creator of the eternal law of goodness, help us to find knowledge by which to live. Lead us to take the words we shall speak into our hearts and our lives. Bless all who enter the sanctuary in need, all who bring the offerings of their hearts. May our worship lead us to acts of kindness, peace, and love.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat. And we turn to the beginning of the Kabbalah Shabbat section of our service. These psalms that were sung centuries ago by the Kabbalists who gathered and spent hours singing psalms and bringing up the spirit of welcoming the Shabbat bride. So on page 12, we'll begin with Lechu Neranena, and if it's comfortable, I invite you to chant the Hebrew with me in the first paragraph, and then we'll skip to the third paragraph. Lechu Neranena l'Adonai, Naria letzur yishenu, nekadma fanav b'toda, bizmirot naria lo, bo nishtachave v'nichra'a, nivracha lifnei Adonai osenu, ki hu Eloheinu v'anachnu amarito, v'tzon yado hayom b'kolo tishma'u. And we sing to God a new song, Shiru Ladonai, Shir Kaddish, at the top of the next page. Shiru Ladonai, Shir Kaddish, Shiru Ladonai, Kol haaretz, Shiru Ladonai, Baruch Hu Shemo, Basru miyom leyom Yeshuato, Sapru hagoyim kevodo, V'chol ha'amim Ki gadol Adonai, u'mehulal me'od, norahu, al kol Elohim, ya Elai, 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 We turn to page 16, and we sing Zamru Lo, Zamru Ladonai, calling on us to praise God with everything possible. Praise God with every instrument that we have at our disposal, even our voices. Zamru Ladonai bechinor, bechinor bechol zimra, bechatzotzrot bechol shofar. Hari lifnei hamelech Adonai, yiram hayam umlo'o, tever v'yoshvei ba. Neharot imcha u'chaf yachad, harim yiranenu, lifnei Adonai chiva, lishpot haaretz, yishpot tever b'tzedek, ve'amim ve'mesharim. Yiram hayam umlo'o, tever v'yoshvei ba. Neharot imcha u'chaf yachad, harim yiranenu, yachad harim yiranenu. And the last piece of Kabbalah Shabbat is page 20, L'chadodi, as we welcome in the Shabbat bride. Hope you'll join me in singing verses 1, 2, 5, and 9. And it is our tradition to rise at the beginning of the last verse, verse 9, and face the door as if we are welcoming a Shabbat bride. La 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 l'chadodi, ya la 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 rikrat kala, ya la 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 pnei Shabbat, pnei Shabbat nekabela, ya la 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 l'chadodi, ya la 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 rikrat kala, ya la 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 pnei Shabbat, pnei Shabbat nekabela.
Standing, sorry, for the Baruch Hu, our call to worship, our call to attention in our service tonight on page 28.
Adonai HaMevorach, Baruch Adonai HaMevorach, Le'olam va'ed, Le'olam va'ed. Yalalai lai lai, yalalai lai lai, yalalai lai lai. We weren't taught in rabbinical school what to do if you bow to God and your guitar smashes into the podium.
We'll continue now with the Mariv Aravim on page 30. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bidvaro Mariv Aravim, bechochma poteach sharim, uvidvuna mishanei itim, umahalif et hazmanim, umisader et hakohavim b'mishmerotehem barakia kirtsono. Borei yom v'layla golel or mipnei choshech, v'choshech mipnei or. Uma'avir yom umevi laila, umavdil ben yom uben laila, Adonai Sebaot Shemo. El Chai v'kayam tamid imloch aleinu leolam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Hamariv Aravim. Please join me in reading in English on the top of page 3, this interpretation of Ahavat Olam. As you taught Torah to those whose names I bear, teach me Torah too. Its mystery beckons, yet I struggle with its truth. You meant Torah for me. Did you mean the struggle for me too? Don't let me struggle alone. Help me to understand, to be wise, to listen, to know. Lead me into the mystery. Baruch atah Adonai, Ohev Amo Yisrael.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Leolam Va'ed.
Please be seated. Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha bechol levavcha uvechol nafshecha uvechol meodecha v'hayu hadvarim ha'ela asher anochi mitzavecha hayom al levavecha v'shinantam levanecha V'dibarta bam, b'shivtecha v'techa, ובלכתך בדרך, ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם נאות על ידיך, וחיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אדוני אלוהיכם emet. As we stand here today, or sit here today, gathered on the edge of fall and the beginning of change in lots of our lives as people go back to school and go back to different types of work, we're also in our service now at the point where we're invited to put ourselves in the shoes of the Israelites as they stood on the shores of the sea, leaving Egypt and stepping into their next chapter. Mi chamocha is on page 40, and the additional words we'll be adding in are on your program booklet.
They're just in the middle of the page. The water is wide, I can cross over, and neither have I wings to fly. Give me a boat that can carry two, and both shall row, you and I. Mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi kamocha nedar b'kodesh, norati lot osei felek, norati lot osei felek. Malchutecha ra'u v'anecha, Ayam, Lifnei Moshe u'Miriam, Ze Eli anu ve'amru, Adonai limlo, le'olam va'ed, and both shall row, you and I.
We continue with Hashkivenu, praying for protection and peace as we enter evening on page 42.
Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu l'shalom, l'shalom. Ahaminenu shomreinu l'chaim. Ufros aleinu sukat shlomecha, ufros aleinu sukat shlomecha. Amen. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu l'shalom, l'shalom. Ahaminenu shomreinu l'chaim. Ufros aleinu sukat shlomecha, ufros aleinu sukat shlomecha. Amen.
Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms. Adonai, help us to walk with good companions, to live with hope in our hearts and eternity in our thoughts, that we may lie down in peace and rise up waiting to do your will.
Baruch atah Adonai, hapore sukat shalom. Shalom aleinu ve'al kol amo Yisrael. Ve'al Yerushalayim ve'al kol amo. Ve'al Yerushalayim shalom. Ve'al Yerushalayim ve'al kol amo. Ve'al Yerushalayim shalom. Baruch atah Adonai, hapore sukat shalom. Shalom aleinu ve'al kol amo Yisrael. Shalom aleinu ve'al kol amo Yisrael. And now we begin the tefillah section of the service on page 46. And if it's comfortable for you, I invite you to rise. Adonai sefatai tiftach ufi yagi tehilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu ve'Elohei avotenu v'imotenu, Elohei Abraham, Elohei Yitzchak, ve'Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, ve'Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor ve'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, Ve'koneh hakol, ve'zocher chasdei avot ve'imahot, u'mevi geula livnei bneihem, leman shemo be'ahava, melech ozer u'moshiach u'magen. Baruch atah Adonai, magen Avraham, Ezrat Sarah. Atah gibor le'olam Adonai, mechaye hakol, atah rav lehoshia, morid atah, mechakel chayim bechesed, mechaye hakol berachamim rabim, somech noflim v'rofei cholim, umatir asurim, umekayem emunato lishenei afar. Mi chamocha b'gevurot umido melach, melech memid umechayem umatzmiach Yeshua, v'ne'eman atah lehachayot hakol. Baruch atah Adonai, mechaye hakol. Page 52. Atah kadosh v'shimcha kadosh, u'kadoshim b'chol yom yehalelucha selah. Baruch atah Adonai, ha'el hakadosh. Please feel free to be seated. And would you join me in these words, the special words for Shabbat on page 55. May these hours of rest and renewal open our hearts to joy and our minds to truth. May all who struggle find rest on this day. May all who suffer find solace. May all who hurt find healing on this day. May all who despair find purpose. May all who hunger find fulfillment on this day. And may this day fulfill its promise. Baruch atah Adonai mekadesh HaShabbat. Page 57. Ritzei Adonai Eloheinu be'amcha Yisrael, utfilatam be'ahava tekabel, utihil ratzon tamid avodat Yisrael amecha. Ever-present one, may we, your people Israel, be worthy in our deeds and our prayer. Wherever we live, wherever we seek you, in this land, in Zion restored, in all lands, you are our God, whom alone we serve in reverence. Baruch atah Adonai, shotcha levadecha v'ira na'avod. And would you join me in this prayer of thanksgiving on page 59? When we behold your heavens, the work of your fingers, the moon and stars that you set in place, what are we humans that you are mindful of us? We mortals that you take note of us. You made us little less than divine, adorned us with glory and majesty. You gave us dominion over your handiwork, laying the world at our feet. How majestic is your name throughout the earth. Baruch atah Adonai, hatov shimcha, u'lecha na'elet lemdu. Shalom Ra Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Ra Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Ki Atahu Melech Adon Lechol HaShalom. Ki Atahu Melech Adon lechol hashalom. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha tasim leolam. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha tasim leolam. V'tov beinecha levarech et Amcha Yisrael b'chol עת ובכל שעה בשלומך. שלום רב ישראל עמך תשים לעולם. שלום רב ישראל עמך תשים לעולם. תשים לעולם, תשים לעולם. We take a moment for our own private and silent prayer. This prayer, asking for guidance in our words and our actions, is at the top of page 62. Elohai netzor leshoni merah, ושפתי מדבר מרמה, ושפתי מדבר מרמה. ונמכר אלי נפשי תדום, ונפשי כעפר לכל תהיה. אלוהי, אלוהי, יהיו לרצון אמרי פי, והגיון ליבי לפניך, אדוני צורי וגואלי. עושה שלום, שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל, ואמרו אמן. הוא יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל, אמן. יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל ואמרו אמן ועל כל ישראל amen.
We turn now to the Misha Berach Lecholim, the Misha Berach for those who are ill or in need of healing. I will read a list of names of folks that people in our temple community are thinking about tonight, and then we'll make space to ask for anyone here who wants to add a name as my hand moves around the room, to add whomever you would like. Mi sheberach avotenu v'imotenu Avraham Yitzhak v'Yaakov Sarah Rivka Rachel v'Leah hu yivarach et hacholim. May the one who blessed our ancestors, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, Sarah, Rebekah, Rachel, and Leah, bless and heal all those who are ill or in need of any kind of healing. And among those, we include Alon Ben Barbara, Maria Campo, Grant Cloutier, Richard Dunhoff, Phyllis Fryman, Carol Goldstone, James Green, Sarah Heppenstall, Rebecca Cupper, Diane Priest, Paul Rogers, Israel Saxe, and Gary Weisblatt, as well as these names. The words of the Misha Berach are in our packets.
Misha Berach avotenu l'kor habracha limotenu. May the source of strength who bless the ones before us help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say Amen. Misha Berach imotenu l'kor habracha lavotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, renewal of body, renewal of spirit, and let us say Amen. During the summer, and I think this is coming to an end, I believe this is the last of these, the clergy team has a tradition of choosing a theme and talking about aspects of that theme throughout the summer each week in lieu of the weekly Torah portion. And this summer's theme is lesser known, groundbreaking American, it's a long one, lesser known, groundbreaking American Jewish leaders. So those Jewish leaders that we may not know so much about, but people who we should hear about, and perhaps hearing about them helps us to learn about the issues they led on. And I wanted to talk this evening a little bit about Judy Heumann. Does anybody know who Judy Heumann is? A few people do. She's a current day leader. She's a leader in American disability rights, and she's been advocating since the 1970s, born in 1947. She's had a deep impact on the development of human rights legislation and policies benefiting children and adults with disabilities. Heumann worked in the World Bank and the State Department. She led the mainstreaming of disability rights in the international community. I think hearing about her experiences growing up might help us to learn, or perhaps some of us to remember, what it was like to have a disability in the 1950s, like she did. When Heumann was diagnosed with polio at 18 months, her doctors suggested to her parents that they put her permanently in an institution. Fortunately, they did not, and they didn't even tell her about the suggestion until she was an adult. Her parents were both Holocaust survivors. They immigrated to the U.S. from Germany, and she says, a huge understatement of course, that they knew about discrimination and they stood up for her. However, that was just the beginning of this family's difficult experiences. Some people in her neighborhood were so afraid of contagion of her polio that they would cross the street rather than walk in front of her house. When Heumann showed up at school for her first day of kindergarten, her mother was told she couldn't attend because she would be a fire hazard since she was in a wheelchair. She was assigned a teacher who came to her home for 2.5 hours per week. That was all she got. At 9, she was able to attend school, but she was put into a class with other students with disabilities whose ages ranged from 9 to 21, if you can imagine that. Heumann went to college in Long Island, and after that she wanted to become a teacher. When she took the teacher's exams, they failed her in the medical portion because she couldn't walk again, saying this would be a danger in case of fire because she wouldn't be able to move her students to safety quickly enough. In her first official act of self-advocacy, as opposed to her parents standing up for her, Heumann sued the New York State Board of Education. The New York Times came out in support of her case, and the judge strongly urged the state to give her another medical exam. They did, and she passed and got a job as a teacher. Heumann says she learned from those experiences that people with disabilities must advocate for themselves, to change the attitude that if you had a disability, you had to be cured, that equality was not part of the equation. She went on to take part in the very first protests for disability rights in the 1970s, stopping traffic on Madison Avenue in New York City, or on another occasion when a bus driver refused to let her on, stopping the bus all by herself by wedging the wheelchair underneath the door until they changed their mind. She helped organize the protests that got President Nixon to sign the Rehabilitation Act in 1972, and then to get the regulations to implement that law signed. In a TED Talk, she describes the protests in 1990 that helped push the Americans with Disabilities Act across the finish line, with disabled people crawling up the Capitol steps. And when President H.W. Bush signed it, he said, "Let the shameful walls of exclusion finally come tumbling down." Heumann eventually served in government roles on disability for D.C., the federal government under Clinton, and as the first special advisor on disability rights, on international disability rights in the State Department under President Obama. She then worked at the Ford Foundation. She has a book, Being Human, an unrepentant memoir of a disability rights activist. So if you're interested, I encourage you to read that and also to watch her very personal and engaging TED Talk, in which she tells her story and reminds us that there is still a lot of work to do for disability rights, as we know. In reflecting on Judy Heumann's life experiences and her work to date, I feel that she embodies the teaching of Hillel the Elder. If I am not for myself, who will be for me? If I am only for myself, what am I? And if not now, when? She stood for each of these things, standing up for herself in crucial moments, dedicating so much of her life to working for people with disabilities all over the world, and teaching us to respond to justice with the sense of urgency that the moment calls for. May we all learn that lesson from her. As we turn now to the concluding prayers, I want to invite the dads of the Benot Mitzvah for tomorrow morning, Gil Peleg and Hart Rossman, to the Bima to open the ark for us. And I invite you to turn to page 282, and if it's comfortable to rise. And Jaden and Layla will lead us in the Aleinu. Aleinu l'shabeach l'Adon hakol, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שהוא נוטה שמיים ויוצר ארץ, ומושב יקרו בשמיים ממעל, ושכינת עוזו בגופי מרומים, הוא אלוהינו אין עוד, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא. Please be seated.
May we gain wisdom in our lives, overflowing like a river with understanding, loved, each of us, for the peace we bring to others. May our deeds exceed our speech, and may we never lift up our hand, but to conquer fear and doubt and despair. Rise up like the sun, O God, over all humanity. Cause light to go forth over all the lands between the seas, and light up the universe with joy of wholeness, of freedom, and of peace.
ונאמן והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד ושמו
As we move now towards the Mourner's Kaddish, I invite you to take a moment to either center yourself or reflect in your heart, or to take a look at one of the readings that precede the Kaddish that start on page 288. I'm going to read a number of names that our community is remembering. After I do so, I'll invite you to either add any names of folks who you are remembering tonight, or if I mispronounce the name of your loved one, please feel free to correct me so that we can hear their name out loud as they said it. In the period of Shloshim, 30 days or less since someone's burial, we're remembering Melistana Kravchik, cousin of Elise Stein, Alan Cohn, brother of Susan Hale, Esther Janowski, mother of Sonia Goldstein, David Knocker, father of Tony Knocker, Dorothy Mikulajic, mother of Scott Mikulajic, Estella Weckstein, mother of Kenneth Weckstein, David Harrison, husband of Tina Nauheim, Jack Levison, husband of Diane White, Michael Fisher, uncle of Elise Stein, Philip Goldstein, father of Garrett Goldstein. Vivian Foreman, sister of Cherry Arts. And as I read names, if you would like and it's comfortable for you, I invite you to join in the custom we see some folks around the room doing, which is to stand when they hear the name of someone they're remembering. We're also remembering on the anniversary of their deaths. Harvey Bayer, Charles Browdy, Joseph Cohen, Beverly David, Aaron Estra, Frida Lubert Fishman, Shirley Friedman, Evelyn Friedman, Reuben Ginsberg, Edward Golden, Ruth Goldmacher, Helen Griffith, Lars Hogland, Joel Hemmendinger, Martha M. Hill, Leonard Himmel, Sandra Joyce Holtzman, Seth Kahn, Marcia Kitte, Margaret Klein, Lester Kosarin, Jack Kramer, Jenny Lader, Ezra Landrace, Lawrence Lansner, Samuel Levy, Betty Lipschutz, Hyman Mars, Sylvia Mautner, Louis Mermel, Rita Neer, Beatrice Newman, Madeline Osteen, Jack Pressman, Bess Radding, Stanley Richter, Lance Rockams, Bernard Rubin, Eugene Saxe, Marlene Schaefer, Saul Schlossberg, Rosalie Schneider, Naomi Lebo Schwartz, Michelle Selig, Elizabeth Scher, Rhoda Steiner, Al Stoloff, Helen Such, Robert Suskind, Stephen Taub, Anne R. Waldman, Samuel Wendell, Alfred E. Worth, Lillian S. Weiner, Adele Zacharias, Abraham Zevin. And now as my hand moves around the room, if you have a name to add or a pronunciation to correct, please do. Thank you. Zikronam livracha, may their memories be for a blessing. We invite you, if you're able, to please rise in solidarity with our mourners as we join in the Kaddish on page 294. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabba, ve'alma divrach yirtei v'yamlich malchutei, b'chayechon uv'yomechon uv'chayei d'chol Beit Yisrael, ba'gala uv'yizman kari v'yimru. Amen. Yehei shmei Rabba mivarach le'olam ulamei almaya, yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh, v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shmei d'krutsha b'richu. Leila min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechamata, damiran be'alma v'yimru. Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya, v'hayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'yimru. Oseh shalom bin ramav, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'yimru. Amen. May the source of peace send peace to all who mourn and comfort all who are bereaved, as we say together, Amen. Please be seated. It is now a pleasure to invite up to bring greetings and announcements on behalf of the board, Barbara Moss.
Thank you, Rabbi Stein and Rabbi Saxe, and Shabbat Shalom to everybody here. Welcome everyone, especially our guest, to our summer Shabbat service, here in person, and if you are attending at home through our wonderful streaming service. And Mazel Tov to Jaden Rossman, Layla Peleg, who are here, along with Grant and Molly Cloutier on their Becoming B'nai Mitzvah tomorrow, and to their families. May you have a joyous day tomorrow. Please check out the e-letter from yesterday and the latest edition of The Connection, which is also available on our website. For more announcements of upcoming events here at Temple Road of Shalom, there are 2 items that we would like to bring to everyone's attention. They are check-in and chat on Monday, August 29th at 2 p.m., and I believe it's in person. It's called, and this is, I wrote it word for word, or Attention all TRS seniors. If you are looking for uplifting conversation and connection with others in our congregation, please check in and chat with us on Monday at the TRS Cafe. You do not need to RSVP, and everyone would love to see you. The other announcement is High Holiday registration, which closed Monday, August 22nd. Online registration for the High Holidays has ended, and if you would like to still sign up, please email hhvol@templeroadofshalom.org, and you will be assisted as quickly as possible. Or you might want to call the front desk for information, as I'm pretty sure no one is going to remember this by the time you walk out. Definitely not me. For more information about these announcements, they can be found in this week's e-letter. Thank you, and Shabbat Shalom.
We're going to bring up Jaden and Layla to lead us in the Kaddish, which is on page 5. And if it's comfortable, we'll rise and join together. Okay, Jaden and Layla. Here's a Kaddish cup. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu b'shabbat kodsho be'ahava uvratzon hinchilanu zikaron le'maaseh v'reishit. Yom Tefillah L'Mikra'e Kodesh Zecher Letziat Mitzrayim Kivanu V'acharta Ve'otanu Kidashta Mikol Ha'amim V'Shabbat Kodshecha Be'ahava Uvratzon Ilchatanu, Baruch atah Adonai, Mekadesh HaShabbat. Amen. L'chaim. You can, yes, drink it. Drink it. Drink it and be healthy and be happy.
And it's juice.
And it's only juice, right? Just that's the disclaimer. That's the disclaimer. On page 600 and, well,
645 in the blue.
thank you so much. 645 in blue, or 341. We have a song to end with, which is a song of peace. It's at the bottom of the page. Nation shall not lift up sword against nation. They shall never study war anymore. We wish everyone a week of peace, a Shabbat of peace, and may our actions in the world and may the Shabbat rest we receive in the coming day fill us with the strength to bring peace to the world. And as we sing this closing song, Rabbi Stein and I are going to make our way outside, and we hope that you will follow us. So this way we will all be able to gather outside and enjoy our oneg and not be stuck in the sanctuary where there is nothing to eat. So page 341. Lo yisa goy el goy cherev, lo yilmedu od milchama. Lo yisa goy el goy cherev, lo yilmedu od milchama. Lo yisa goy el goy cherev, lo yilmedu od milchama. Lo yisa goy el goy cherev, lo yilmedu od milchama, lo yisa goy el